All right, so here's the deal. We put a post on social media inviting our fans to go to Zambia with us. And we had this absolutely incredible experience, which you guys can go watch that video now if you want. But we want to show you guys a little bit about the gear that we brought on this trip and why we brought it on this trip. And as I'm talking about a lot of this stuff, we're actually be showing you guys a lot of footage. It's called B-roll footage in the business. Essentially, it's additional footage that helps tell the story better. And I'll show you guys a little bit about the gear. We don't have everything that we brought out here, but super thanks to Adorama as well for making this trip possible and helping fund a lot of the expenses. Definitely a trip that we'll always remember. So it all comes down to good content. That's the biggest thing with anything that you guys are doing, with anything you're telling as far as story-wise. The content is always going to be more important than the gear that you have, but if you're in a position where you can afford nice gear, obviously that always helps, and I'm all about trying to capture the best image possible. So the cameras that we are bringing on this trip were the red Monstro filming in 8K. Now, basically, this is the setup that we are using. We have a Rode Pro mic that you're gonna see in a lot of the shots. And then we got the monitor, just the standard edition monitor. And then of course, we're gonna put a battery on the back of it. And then we'll also have our memory cards on the side of them, which let me show you guys that right now. So whenever we're traveling, we're trying to pack as light as possible. That is key. Luckily for us, we had a bunch of Teamsupertramp coming, so we were able to all bring on 2 bags. What got really complicated though is once we got into Africa, they only allowed 1 carry-on bag each. So we had to kind of put all our pieces together, and it ended up being like a big issue. But we ended up solving it. It wasn't ideal. But whenever I'm traveling with the Red Camera International, I am bringing the red case. And I'll open that up for you guys right here so you guys can see a little bit. But I have the battery charger right here. That's the issue. Never put your chargers in the bags yet you give to the airport service, because we've had it happen twice where they lost their bags and we lost the charger, so we weren't able to charge our batteries. You can go without clothes. I mean, of course, you're gonna have to buy them elsewhere, but you can't go without your chargers. And especially for red stuff, when we're traveling international to a third world country, is they're not gonna have a lot of red cameras and red chargers just lying around. So definitely want to make sure that I brought that as a carry-on. And then room for my monitor, and then our memory cards. We're using these 1 terabyte cards as our main cards. We'll have a couple 512 gigabyte cards as well. But definitely these were my go-to cards for everything that we were filming. But big deal for us. I love shooting audio key, but once again, this isn't always going to be your best audio, but I definitely want the best opportunity to capture audio. So we're using Rode mics on everything that we're filming. Even this video that we're filming right now, I have a lav mic, which I'll have down below in the description if you guys are curious. It's supposed to be like the smallest, or one of the smallest lav mics in the world. That's kind of their claim to fame recently, and that's what we're speaking on now. Now, the bags that I personally love using are f-stop bags, which I just so happen to have here, and that's actually all 3 bags that we brought to Africa. We're using f-stop bags. So now let's talk about the Canon lenses we brought on this project. So as far as lenses go, the Canon 11 and 24mm lens was a big one we used. The Canon 16 to 35mm 2.8 lens. This is the f4 right here. We brought multiple 16 to 35mm lenses based on the different camera guys that we had going on. 24 to 105 was another big lens. The lens that we're actually filming this video on, the 24 to 70, we only own one of those, but that's what we're using there. And then the 70 to 200, and this isn't a lens I use a ton of, but whenever I'm filming wildlife, this is one of the best lenses out there, especially if you have a 2x extender, which we also brought on the trip, which you're seeing in all these shots right now. So those were our kind of go-to lenses that we had. Because we had about 3 of us were camera guys on this project in Zambia, we had it so I could be filming with the red, and then we had another guy on our team also filming with the Canon 1DX. And a lot of times we're also using several other cameras, which just so happen to be right over here. As far as like POV cameras, a lot of times these cameras are a lot bigger setups. They take 2 minutes to boot up, and let's just say something happens completely spontaneous, like these are the best cameras for that. And Zane on our team, he was kind of the legend on this trip as far as pulling out the Osmo or the GoPro, just kind of getting things on location in the spur of the moment. These were the cameras that we used. So the Osmo Action and DJI just released, and also the GoPro 7. If I had to choose one or the other, I would go with the Osmo Action. We brought both though, just because we only had so many Osmo Action, so we want to make sure that we were covered if we needed multiple cameras for multiple things. All the bungee jump stuff that we were doing for the POV stuff, we were using the Osmo Action for that kind of content. And you'll see right here, I also use this case. Now, what's great about this case, and I'm not sure what's technically in here right now, is we can put all our GoPros, Osmo Actions in here, and then all the accessories. So we have like a car mount. We didn't end up using this on our trip to Africa, but you definitely want that. As far as the options, a ton of different mounts, clips, and then we also had a head POV, and we've also used it like cooking to people's feet, a bunch of that kind of content. Now let's talk about this little guy right here. Nothing too fancy, and actually one of the cheapest things in our bags. You can't bring cans of air on the airplane for obvious reasons, but you can bring these kind of air cleaners, which cleans the lenses. So this works fantastic. The lenses are always getting dusty. We were filming in Zambia, where there's a ton of dust all over the place in a lot of the areas we were in. And we were filming at one of the 8 natural wonders of the world, Victoria Falls, so we're constantly getting water on our lenses. So I could just take this water filtering just from the side where you couldn't see it. I was actually able to clean off the lens from water droplets. So this worked fantastic. For the drone that we used on this project, we used the Inspire 2 with the X7 camera, which I have right here. This films in 6K resolution, which we were filming. We had 2 cards. They both have roughly about 512 gigs each. Maybe it's a little more, a little less. We had 2 of these cards to download every night. And whenever we're filming, we're always bringing multiple blades because landing and takeoffs can sometimes not be ideal, and you can hit little trees or bushes. Thankfully, we didn't have any kind of encounters of that kind. For respect of the animals, we didn't film anything in the safari, and it wasn't even an option, sadly. But we filmed a ton at Victoria Falls and a ton of different villages that we visited. That was all done, all these clips that you're seeing right now, that was done with the Inspire 2 X7. We filmed that in 6K resolution. So as far as things we were attaching to the cameras, we were using the Glidecam, Devin Graham's signature series Glidecam. So all the shots that you're seeing right now, those are all done on the Glidecam. I'm not using a Ronin, I'm not using a brushless gimbal, I'm using a Glidecam. I feel it looks more organic, more natural. I don't have to worry about charging batteries for that system itself. And then all the super steady shots where the camera's not moving at all, I am using a Manfrotto Tripod. It's carbon fiber. It can go roughly about 9 feet tall. It still is very heavy duty, which is great for the red. And then as you guys can see right here, we're using the 504 HD head. So other things I want to talk about is ND filters, neutral density. So anytime we're filming the waterfall stuff where I want the waterfall to look like motion blur, I was actually using the Peter McKinnon edition Polar Pro, which I have right here. This is neutral density, and it also has several different stops. I believe it's 2 to 5 stops that I can adjust. So this is what I was using for all of those shots. And also worth mentioning, polarizers. So whenever you see the sky super vibrantly blue or the green's also very vibrantly green, we are bringing these B+W polarizers are the ones that I use, the ones that I prefer. Also, when traveling international, make sure to bring power adapters. One thing I found out when traveling international, or anywhere for that matter, is a lot of times in your hotel room that you're staying in, they don't have a lot of power plugs. So I'll always bring something like this that has multiple outlets, so I can hook this into one thing and I can get 3 different charges at once, because a lot of times in our rooms we're charging about 6 different outlets at once. This way I can charge a lot in the same area and not have to stress about it. So filming in Zambia, absolutely incredible experience. A lot of these villages that we visited, it was the first time these kids had ever seen any kind of this camera gear. So they were thrilled when they could do selfie stuff. So even with the red camera, they were having the time of their life. We were showing them how to film different shots. It was just super exciting seeing these kids light up. Also, with that being said, they were blown away by the drone, the Inspire 2. All the kids and all the different villages that were flying by, they were all chasing the drone and they were just loving it and having the time of their lives with that. So it's definitely exciting seeing that equipment that we see constantly, that we take for granted, and showing that to people that had never seen that kind of stuff before. It was just very exciting seeing everyone come alive once they saw the camera gear. But this is the gear that we use. This is the gear that we brought to Africa for a Zambia shoot. Once again, super thanks to Adorama, who sells most of this gear. So I'll have a link down below in the video description Definitely check that out if you guys are interested in any of this kind of gear. Any questions that you guys have as far as gear recommendations, leave it down below in the video description and I'll do the best to answer that. Thanks so much for watching. Over and out.